Okay, so I'm here to talk about the game I played for my game critique assignment. Wow. Um, so I'm gonna start out with the positive. The character design was great. The way the characters were designed, it wasn't like a cartoony kind of feel to it or a super realistic approach to it. I liked the blend of like both worlds. They were, in a sense, in my eyes, created in the perfect image. I think personally that they came out to be more of like the ultimate versions of them because like I like the design of Catwoman and Batman and like how everything comes together as a whole. I honestly think it's better than the movies with the way that they designed the characters. So props to them on that. The second reason, the cinematics and storyline were great. I loved how the cinematics and scenes just flowed together with like no effort at all. It was almost like I was watching a movie. And I almost wish it was the actual movie for Batman because it was so fluid with its animations and like you really got on the edge of the seat when you were playing the game and really wanted to know what was going to happen next. The third version, or the third reason, is I really, really like the fact that they had a really fluid combat system. It was very free-flowing, and it was very fluid with the animations and how everything would kind of just snap to your enemies. Like if you pressed a button and you would punch, you would kind of follow your own trajectory and kind of just punch whoever's nearest to you. Another thing too, the fourth reason would be the music. Batman, when you first started out, where being the detective and all that, being the best detective, the music really captured the idea that you were like really, really a good detective, and the music really drove you forward in trying to find out clues and everything. And the music also fits well with Catwoman in the sake that when you're roaming around the city as her, the music and the way the plucked strings are going, it feels like you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, which I love that. So let's get with the 4 dislikes that I don't like about the game. The cameras. I didn't like the way the cameras were. When you were running, I feel like they could have made it more of a fluid action type camera instead of just zooming out and going in the middle. I can see why they did that because of the corridors and everything, but at the same time, it's boring. I feel like they should have made more of like a closer zoom in on one side and made it really like shake or whatever when you were running real fast. Or like I noticed they were switching from first person when you were in tunnels and whatnot. I wish they would have did that a little more because you can actually feel like you're actually Batman and whatnot. Or the second thing, I would have to say the way the pacing of the game was. I didn't like how sometimes I would be straining for action and I would want to like get into some fighting, but I would have to like strangle my way through like a bunch of stealth parts of the mission and like detective work. I think this is more of a subjective opinion on my end. It's a hard stop and go for this game, and it really kind of disrupted my flow. And speaking of disrupted flow, I didn't like the idea of the maps and navigation. When you would mark down the things on where you needed to go, the markers on the map wouldn't correspond or tell you where to go on your actual world, which was kind of annoying because, sure, there are some games where it's okay to like not tell you where to go and whatnot, but I think that the way that they did it in this game makes you kind of guessing where you have to go, and I really don't like that. It kills the flow of the game for me personally. One time I actually played as Catwoman and it glitched out and it didn't tell me the next mission, or it didn't boot up the next mission for whatever reason, and I had to reload the checkpoint because I didn't know what else to do. And the mission ended up loading, and I was like, why didn't it load when I first came in? There was some bugginess going on there with the actual navigation system itself. Now lastly, this is the most important reason I did the most thought about. Even though the combat in the game is fluid, that doesn't necessarily mean it's very dynamic. And what I mean by that is, some games I have played, you are playing as Batman in this case, who is a super pumped up dude who's got like all kinds of fighting skills, right? I feel like they could have gave the players more choices, having a dedicated punch button or a dedicated kick button. I also would like the idea that you could hold down your button and have more heavier attacks. Maybe the enemies could block your attacks more. You could control your moves more and be more distinct with your techniques. I'm really disappointed that they didn't really add any QuickTime events. I think with the newer games, they let the graphics and all the new stuff do all the work. And back in the day, I'm going to sound like an old person, but like PS2 games are the great example of this, because back then they didn't have much graphics to work with. So I think they had to rely on the little things. The little things in the newer games are what is missing that make it fun to play. So I will see you later.